budding spring has made me restless. That somewhat playful jab at those who are chronically online, go touch grass, is actually sound advice. Over the course of this past winter, I made it a point to stay offline as much as possible. I replaced scrolling with hardcover books, creating content with handwritten journals, comment sections with hanging out in a corner cafe with a dear friend who's been by my side unrelentingly for over 20 years now. I purposely and with great intent slowed my life down to a hibernative crawl. I ate well, slept often, and simply recovered. I didn't really begin to stir in my quiet restfulness until the spring equinox began to approach. There's a very long story behind that. The concept of wintering is a wonderful notion that's more in tune with nature and the natural cycles humans have all but removed themselves from. Everything in nature rests during the latter half of the year, but not people. People have become so out of touch with nature that it's little wonder why the human condition has ended up in the state that it's in, and why mental and emotional issues have become viral trends instead of something to be ashamed of and in need of correcting. But hibernating over winter comes at a price, and that price became apparent as I took on the task of moving some of the largest rocks I could find in our fence-frozen fields for more landscaping additions to the garden. There are, of course, much easier ways to move these things. I could have just loaded them up onto a wagon and pulled them up with a tractor, but I intentionally wanted this task to be physical. So I decided to move them all by sheer willpower in a wheelbarrow over and through the still somewhat tacky field that keeps getting tackier as wave after wave of light warm spring rains moves over the area. I feel like investing the physical strength into tasks like these creates a sort of bond with what it is you're creating. A spiritual aspect of it arises, a metaphysical connection with the land, and a sense of pride once the task is complete. It's a private affair. No one was there to see me pull it off. There was no one to impress. No one to cheer me on. No one to tell me that I'm stupid for not using the tractor instead. Feel free to do any of those things in the comments below. I spent 2 days moving rocks, raking, digging, transplanting. I felt it all afterwards too. Thus the price of laying around and reading 200-year-old books all winter. When you come out of your blissful hibernation, you start using muscles that you've neglected for months. And it hurts. It's a happy kind of pain. The kind you make jokes about and giggle a little when it really hits you. I have a vision for this area of the garden that I've been focusing on so much. I find it difficult to pull away from it to work on other areas instead. This semi-hidden grove is a spiritual place. Unlike any other part of the garden, there's a deeper wall of energy here, I can only describe it as a feeling one might get when stepping into an empty church or temple. You know you're alone, but every one of your senses tells you otherwise. It can be an uneasy and yet comforting feeling to experience. I love the fact that I'm able to capture on film what this particular area looks like currently, the work that's going into developing it, and I cannot wait to show you what the final vision for this plot will look like. Days of mud and rock inspired a little bit lighter task of doing little arts and crafts restoration to a particular piece of driftwood that I discovered while live streaming a night hike on a previous YouTube channel. This piece of driftwood is like Mother Nature's artwork, and I fondly remember the night hiking adventure that it illustrates. I got lost in the wilderness the night that I found this twisted hunk of wood, ended up trudging through a swamp and got completely lost in the pitch black of night, unable to find my truck for the better part of an hour. It was a wonderful live-streamed experience. My previous YouTube channel boasts over 40,000 subscribers and nearly 24 million views. I spent 8 years working on that particular chapter of my life, and then I simply walked away from it. The main story arc of the channel had run its course. I think it's important to know when to simply let things go and evolve into something new. This hunk of driftwood and a few other unique items I discovered or created during that story are all that really came out of it all those years of creating content. That's the hard reality of YouTube. When it's over, they don't give you anything as part of your retirement package. It all simply ends. I treated the driftwood with a liberally applied concoction of natural oils, let it set for a few hours, and then applied a water-based resin. As the driftwood set up, I, for no logical reason whatsoever, got the idea to apply the same potion to the exposed tree roots in the glade. With nothing in it that might harm the tree, the mixture turned the rather dull gray roots a dark brown that now stand in contrast to the gray earth. It turned out beautifully. Twilight in the gardens brings up the twinkle of nearly 1,000 solar lights. I add more to it every year, and this year I intend to go up the trees with them, suspending them from branches as high up as I can climb. There's still so much work to do here, and I honestly enjoy every silent offline moment of it. I even love the feeling of the dust and dirt all over me at the end of the day and the long hot shower that follows before crashing into bed, only to wake up before sunrise the next day and prepare to do it all over again. But in spite of this lengthy to-do list, I'll be taking at least a day or two to step outside of the gardens and make a visit to a completely different world. One that will open up all sorts of new stories, adventures, and something more.
Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering?